It is 4 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the roll call, please.
Mayor Sue Patterson,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Warren Dickert,
Present.
Councillor Harold Fleet,
Present.
Councillor Dave Hawking,
Present.
Councillor Carol Hudson,
Present.
Councillor Brandon Cable. Has not arrived yet. Councillor Susan Zackel.
Present.
Thank you, Vicky. I'll begin with the land acknowledgement. As we work toward reconciliation with Indigenous people, we begin our meeting today by respectfully acknowledging that we are situated on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe Nation, the people of Three Fires known as Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations, and further give thanks to the Chippewas of Saugeen and the Chippewas of Nawash, now known as the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, as the traditional keepers of this land. So welcome to our Committee of the Whole meeting for Monday, May the 5th, 2025. Good afternoon, Council, staff, guests, the viewing public, and the media. Council, does anyone have a disclosure of pecuniary interest or a conflict of interest? Of course, if one should arise during the meeting, you may declare it then. Our health and safety message is brought to us by Councillor Zackel, and I just want to say that this message demonstrates the town's commitment to safety, to staff, and our residents. It is intended to raise awareness of potential risks, promote safe practices, and help prevent injuries, illnesses, and fatalities. Councillor Zackel, please.
Emergency Preparedness Week is May the 4th to May the 10th. Are you prepared? If an emergency happens in your community, it may take emergency workers some time to reach you. You should be prepared to take care of yourself and your family for a minimum of 72 hours. Step 1, know the risks. Knowing the risks in your region can help you better prepare. For example, Grey and Bruce counties can experience flooding, blizzards, and severe storms producing high winds and potential tornadoes. Understand how these hazards can impact your daily lives. Step 2, make a plan. Every Canadian household needs an emergency plan. It will help you and your family know what to do in case of an emergency. It will take you about 20 minutes to make your plan. Your family may not be together when an emergency occurs, so plan how to meet or how to contact one another and discuss what you would do in different situations. Step 3, get an emergency kit. In an emergency, you will need some basic supplies. You may need to get by without power or tap water. Be prepared to be self-sufficient for at least 72 hours. You may have some of the items already, such as food, water, and a battery-operated or crank flashlight. The key is to make sure they are organized and easy to find. Make sure your kit is easy to carry and everyone in the household knows where it is. Keep it in a backpack, duffel bag, or suitcase with wheels in an easy-to-reach, accessible place, such as your front hall closet. If you have many people in your household, your emergency kit could get heavy. It's a good idea to separate some of these supplies in backpacks. That way, your kit will be more portable and each person can personalize his or her own grab-and-go emergency kit. Emergency forms and safety kits details can be found in the link Emergency Preparedness Guide or on our website at www.hanover.ca/emergency preparedness. To learn more about emergency preparedness, visit getprepared.ca. And those of you at home that are listening, you may have received this booklet, Be Prepared, in your mail as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Zackel. Item 4, we do not have any agenda additions or deletions, so we'll move on to our delegations, which is 6.1, and we have Carolyn Cascanet, who is the CEO of the Hanover Public Library. Welcome, Carolyn.
Thank you. Hello, Council and Your Worship. Today, I'm just going to highlight a report that was given as part of the library strategic plan. We are to strengthen our community partnerships by initiating a semi-annual council update to strengthen our relationship with our community leaders and communicate the value of the Hanover Public Library. I spoke it over with Sherry and we decided that a report would be the best way to do this. You will have all read through it, so I'm just going to do some top level statistics. Continuing from last year, we had an increase to our membership, circulation, and questions asked at the desk. Membership has gone up 12% since last year. We are now at 3,622 cards for the people in Hanover. Circulation has gone up 15%, which is a total of 13,302 items. And the highest part of our circulation increase was found with teens. We moved our teens section, which might have been a contributing factor. We have also changed where the young adult fiction is displayed, and there's more teens coming into the library. A new web resource that we have this year is BrainFuse, and it's for tutoring. There's a live tutor from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. so students can sign in with whatever they need help with. And all the tutors have a master's or PhD. So the student will sign on and talk about whatever they need help with. The tutor will come up with a plan to help them learn, and they can submit all their reports and have it looked over to help students in our area. They also just released a scholarship for anybody that uses BrainFuse at our library and any library that has it to help students along as well. BrainFuse is an expensive addition. We felt we wanted it, and it's part of what the Federation of Ontario Public Libraries would like to get for all of Ontario. That's what they're fighting for with the Conservative government right now. It's going to be several years, but we thought we'd get it now. And if it becomes a free resource later, that will just be helpful for us. So far, 48 people have used the tutoring service. Next, I'm going to look at what's upcoming for the library. The board has decided that we will purchase slat walls and end display units to get a little more space on our shelves. Our collection was too big when we had our space needs a while ago. So we're just trying to find ways that we can get more space with what we have. It'll also help just when people walk through the library, there will be more on site, kind of like at a bookstore where you can just pick it up and find something right there. We received a grant for seniors programming, which allowed us to buy more mahjong sets for our weekly games, and we also bought cushions at the request of the patrons. And we started going to the high school. Laura Lee has gone 3 weeks in a row, and she's met with 44 students, and she's got 4 cards signed up. Next, I'm just going to pick out some upcoming dates. Our hanging basket sale is next week with Canadian Tire. On June 14th, we're having our summer reading kickoff. We will have Highland dancers and worldwide drums in the community hall. On June 17th, we're partnering with Parks and Recreation for a volunteer expo at the P&H Center. And our paperback pop-up sale will be June 27th and 28th in the community hall. If there's any questions, I'm prepared to answer.
Thank you, Council. Councillor Sacco.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Carolyn, for your report. I'm really pleased that you included the 2 strategic plan initiatives. I think that was a great idea to put into your report. And for those people out there who still think that libraries are just for books, I think you proved them wrong quite clearly in your report. I think it's a real eye-opener. I love the fact that you're doing outreach in the community. I think that's really important. I'm happy to see and hear about your numbers. And I'm really intrigued with this BrainFuse. It sounds wonderful. So please, congratulations to you and your staff for all your efforts.
Thank you.
Online, we have Councillor Cable.
Thank you, Worship, and thank you, Carolyn, for the update. I think this is a great idea to be coming to council and providing an update a couple of times per year. I was really pleased to see the emphasis that you're placing on teens and skill development and getting into John Diefenbaker. I think that's a great idea as well. Just wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about the co-op position that the library is going to be offering.
I have a co-op student starting in July, and she's going to shadow me and Laura Lee, who is the children and youth librarian. So she's going to learn about finance, writing reports, statistics through me, and with Laura Lee, she's going to learn about communication with programming. She's going to help with all the little kids. She wants to go into psychology, so we partnered her with Laura Lee to kind of give a basis of what working with all people will be like.
Excellent,
Any-
thank you.
Any other, Councillor Hudson?
Thank you, Your Worship. Very impressed with your stats tracking methods. It's really great to see that there's so many new members getting cards. That's pretty fabulous in just three months, 79 people. That's great. And just kudos to you guys for putting on the programs you have with what you've got, and well done.
Very good. Councillor Fleet, then Deputy Mayor Dickert.
Thank you, Worship, and thank you, Carolyn, for your report. You know, it's nice to see the membership go up 12%. And, you know, the winter we had, and your visitors numbers were down, which, you know, you can't control Mother Nature, and, you know, that's just out of our hands. And I'm really impressed with our library staff stepping up with fundraising events to help with your budget, and also the programs for teens and seniors. It's well done. Our library is important to our community, and thank you for all you do.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you for the report. Nice to see you collaborating and partnering with Giddy Goblin and getting into the high school. I think that's great. And it looks like you're making good use of your data to adjust your programs and meet the needs of the community. And thank you for the report, and I wish you much success with your upcoming events.
Thank you.
Okay, Carolyn, I have one question. Can you explain about the visits, how they are counted, and whether that, like, can one person be counted twice? Can you just elaborate a bit?
So there's a sensor on either side of the door, and there's an infrared light, so it's when somebody passes through. So we divide our number by 2 for when they come in and when they go out. So if somebody came in and left and then come back again the next day or the same day, it will count as 2 people. So the way to look at unique users would be our card, like how many people are checking out books, which was at 2,400 of unique users in Hanover.
That's good. Thank you. All right. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, thank you very much, Carolyn. That's very informative.
Thank you.
Look forward to the next one. All right, item 8 is staff reports. 8.1 is report PB 0525. The subject is the Giorgio subdivision draft plan extension. It's from Andrew Wilkin, our Director of Building and Planning and CBO. I need a mover and seconder to put this on the floor. Councillor Sackle and Deputy Mayor Dickert. Andrew?
Thank you, Your Worship. On April 15th, 2025, Ron Davidson, Land Use Planning Consultant, submitted the enclosed letter here on behalf of the owner and developer to support, or that the Town of Hanover Council support a 1-year extension to the draft plan of approval for the subdivision at hand. I've been here before requesting an extension for this, which us and the developer have been working on quite a bit, again, for the last year. Laura Swanson from Darrell Robbins Associates is on the call if there's any specific questions. I just asked that she attend in case there were today. As you may or may not know, Grey County official plan notes that a letter of support is required from the lower tier prior to the extension being approved by the county. We've had some discussions with county planning on this item, who are prepared to send this to the Grey County Committee moving forward. Essentially, all the conditions of the draft plan of subdivision are complete. All public approvals have been received for sign-off letters. Unfortunately, there was some final engineering revisions that were required, which ultimately is pushing us beyond the May 15th date this year. Therefore, why I'm here today asking for the extension. The revisions to the engineering were actually received over the weekend here. Therefore, the town's third-party engineering consultant is reviewing those expeditiously as I am here today. The proposed development, currently the infrastructure allocations are not holding up any other developments currently where they are. The financial implications of this report are that there are no direct financial implications to this report. The link to the strategic plan is balanced growth. And the recommendation is that report PB 5-25 Giorgio subdivision draft plan extension be received, and that council agree to a 1-year extension of the draft plan approval extension for subdivision file 42T 2016-08 as requested by Ron Davidson Land Use Planning Consultants representing the owner. And I'll answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Andrew. Any comments? Councillor Fleet.
Thank you, Worship. Thank you, Andrew. How many extensions can you have? Like, can this go on and on? I know that I've been here 6 years and this is the 6th extension, so just seems to be ongoing.
Through your worship, they could keep going. I mean, the intent is that there's an original timeline to kind of finalize the agreement, and then an extension can keep happening for a number of years. Perhaps we could have come forward with more than a 1-year extension instead of coming every year. You know, policy wise, we typically do 1 per year, which is why you've seen it every year for the last few. And really the intent of that is things can change over time, and there could be allocations associated with something that are holding up something else. Not in this instance, but that could be a possibility.
Any other comments or questions? Deputy Mayor Dickert.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Andrew. Just, are these municipal changes or are they provincial? Like, what is the legislation that's, I guess, holding their approval up? And is it something that you feel is easily achieved and that they'll be able to address in a short time frame?
Through your worship, in terms of the time frame, yes, I believe the package that we've received really clarifies kind of the last few items in terms of the engineering. It's a bit of a complex site, you know, the shape of it. There were lands that had to be disposed of some neighboring properties, which definitely had taken some time to do those agreements and consents and cancellations of consents. There were some changes requested for Laura to include in terms of engineering and hydrants and grading and some of those things that have come up maybe a little later that were a requirement of the town. I do feel like the package that we just received really resolves this, and I don't foresee it taking very long at this point to bring this to the finish line.
Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor of PB 0525? That is carried. Item 8.2 is report PB 0625. The subject is proclaim May as a Building Safety Month. And it's from Andrew Wilkin, our Director of Building and Planning and CBO. I need a mover and seconder, Councillor Fleet and Councillor Hawking. Andrew?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just like the previous report, I've been in front of council the last few years on something like this too, and it's the proclaiming May as Building Safety Month. Each year, the building industry acknowledges the significance of the building code and building officials and the importance of the profession. To raise awareness, we are seeking a proclamation from Hanover Council to designate May as Building Safety Month. There will be messages that will be promoted on town social media platforms. I did put an example in here from a poster from, I believe it was last year. The typical thing that would be posted, usually every week, there's a new posting as such. There are no financial implications of this report. The link to the strategic plan is balanced growth and open and responsible government. And the recommendation is that report PB 625 proclaim May as Building Safety Month be received, and that council proclaim the month of May as Building Safety Month. And I will answer any questions you have on that.
Thank you. Are there any comments? Questions? Seeing none, all in favor of PB 0625? That is carried. Item 8.3 is report PW 0925. The subject is the 2025 road resurfacing tender, and it's from Ron Cooper, our Director of Public Works. And I'll take a mover and seconder for that, Councillor Hudson and Councillor Sacco. Ron?
Thank you, Worship. This report deals with the tendering that's been done for road resurfacing, which is the micro road resurfacing for 2025. It's a product and it's something that we have been doing for a number of years on the lower usage roads, typically the wider ones without curb and gutter. Although this year we have moved into doing some micro resurfacing on some road sections that have been down for a number of years, and just to extend their life on some curb and gutter roads. Typically what we've experienced over the years, we've had very good success with this product on low volume roads. You know, we've been able to extend the life of them 15 to 20 years before we're coming back and putting another surface lift on them. An annual review was done in the spring of this year, and also taken into account our roads reassessment that was done back in 2018 to determine the properties. We've identified 4 different areas that we're looking at completing for this year. First one being 9th Street between 10th and 17th Avenue, which is actually a hot mix asphalt road, but there has been a significant amount of cold patch work that we've had to do increasingly on that. We feel this is a good candidate for doing the micro surfacing on. Another section in there is 11th Avenue from 8th to 10th Street. Similarly, although it's not curb and gutter, it has hot mix asphalt on, and we feel doing micro surfacing on that would help it significantly. A third one, 14th Avenue to 9th to 10th Street, is actually a surface treated type road, and we're proposing to putting another coat on that one to extend its life on. Similarly, a wider street in the area of 3rd Avenue and 8th Street. It's been a number of years, probably 20 years or a little more, since we've done anything to that road, and to put the micro resurfacing on would extend its service life. So with those 4 areas in mind, we issued tenders out to 2 firms that typically do this type of work, one being Duncor Enterprises Inc. and the other being Miller Paving Limited. As of the tender closing date of April 24th, we had tenders back from both of the companies. The low bid for this year was Duncor Enterprises Inc. of Barrie, and they actually have completed similar work in the town since 2012. Follow-up discussions with them in terms of timing, which they're indicating mid-August for completion of this work, and it's typically day and a half to 2 days of for completion of this work. And as in the past, they always hand out notices with respect to not parking on the roadways while this work is being completed. The financial implications on that is the low tender from Duncor is $63,318. We had budgeted $80,000 for this work, and just looking back, since 2012, they've been holding. It's a price per square meter. Previous to this year, they've been holding that at $5.14 a square meter, and this year they're running $5.19 a square meter. So it's only 1% increase, which is very minor. Linked to strategic plan for this report would be safe and reliable infrastructure and open and responsible government. And the recommendation is that report PW 0925 2025 road resurfacing tender be received, and that council accept the tender by Duncor Enterprises Inc. for the 2025 supply and application of micro road resurfacing for a cost of $63,318 $318 plus HST. And I would be happy to answer any questions that council would have. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron. Are there any comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of PW 0925? That is carried. Item 8.4 is report PW 1025. The subject is reconstruction of 24th Avenue, or also known as County Road 28, from 10th Street to 14th Street. It's the tender, and it's from Ron Cooper, our Director of Public Works. I need a mover and seconder before Ron highlights the report. Deputy Mayor Dickert and Councillor Fleet. Ron?
Thank you, Worship. This report deals with another tender that is put out for the reconstruction of 24th Avenue being County Road 28 from 10th to 14th Street. This is a project that we have been working together with the town and Grey County, with Combine Engineering providing the design of it. And both the town and the county have included this reconstruction work within their respective 2025 capital budgets. It's actually a road which is owned by Grey County, has jurisdiction over the road. The proposal is to urbanization this section to include curb and gutter on both sides of the road, as well as there's going to be upgrades to the signalized intersection at Grey Road 4 and Grey Road 28, which is to include having opposing left-hand turn lanes on each leg of the intersection, helping to increase general safety and turning maneuvers at the intersection. They're also going to be putting audible pedestrian signals and accessible egress and ingress ramping at the crosswalk junctions to provide safe, accessible intersection for pedestrians. Cost of the upgrades at the signalization is borne by the county. A joint project, as I indicated, where the town comes into play is we're responsible for works which are constructed essentially beyond the curb and gutter. So the proposal under this reconstruction is to have a 1.5 meter sidewalk on the west side of 24th Avenue or Grey County Road 28, and also 1.5 meter asphalt boulevard and restoration. And it would be topsoil and hydro seeded on the east side of the road. There also is some further work on there. We're extending sanitary sewer to service a development on the east side of the roadway. And there's some minor adjustment of water valves and hydrant down at 14th Street, which is included in the town work. Another component of this, which would be the town, which is not included within the tender, we're going to be coordinating that directly with Westerio and getting a contractor to install the street lighting, which will be on Westerio hydro poles on the east side of the roadway. This tender was advertised on Bid and Go as of the tender closing date of Thursday, April 3rd. There were 7 bidders received. The low bidder on this one is Omega Contractors Inc. of London. We had Combine Engineering check for completeness and accuracy. The tender submitted by Omega. They have previously completed work within the municipality. Their quality of work and ability to work cooperatively and efficiently to complete project is good. Tender stipulates completion of the project by October 3rd. And the contractor's actually working on another reconstruction project that we have currently ongoing, be 7th Street East of 13th Avenue project. Their proposal is to move, once they get completed that project, over onto this 24th Avenue or County Road 28 project, which we're looking at it now, which would tentatively be a July construction start date on it. Grey County has also reviewed the tenders. They've done a report. to Grey County Council on April 24th and would be looking at endorsing acceptance of the tender from Omega on May 8th. The financial implications are there. I broke it down, provided a chart. I think the important thing to note on it is based upon the town's commitment and the town's costs towards the project is we're coming in at $64,231.68 or 20% under budget. So, you know, we have a total project here of 1.548 million, and the town's cost is just slightly under $260,000 towards the project. So we're a small component of the bigger project, but working together to do the improvements. 2 years ago, we completed this section between the Saugeen River Bridge and 14th Street, and then this is just continuing that similar project leading up to 10th Street. The link to strategic plan is safe and reliable infrastructure and open and responsible government. And the recommendation is the report PW 10-25 reconstruction of 24th Avenue, County Road 28 from 10th Street to 14th Street be received, and the project be awarded to Omega Contractors, Inc. for a total cost of $1,548,090.43 plus HST, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to enter into a contract with Omega Contractors, Inc. for the reconstruction of 24th Avenue, being County Road 28 from 10th to 14th Street. And I would be pleased to answer any questions the council may have regarding the project. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron. Deputy Mayor Dickert.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Ron. It'll be great to see that intersection rebuilding with the turning lanes on 24th Ave. Question I have is, the sidewalks on the west side, the lights are on the east side, or sorry, other way around, I guess, sidewalks west. Yeah, lights east. Do they give enough light on the sidewalk area, or is there a reason we're on the opposite side of the road than the sidewalk, or is that standard?
Well, the streetlights, I know there's poles down there on both sides there, but when we tried on the initial project to coordinate the streetlights with Hydro One, the poles being on the west side, that didn't work out favorable for us. So consistency and continuity, we're going to continue on the west aerial poles on the east side of the road, but it's street lighting. Where they're putting the light out is covers the street, covers the sidewalk. It's only 1.5 Miller Boulevard and the sidewalk just beyond that. So street lighting, the dispersion of the pattern that the lights go out on the wattages, street lighting in terms of it being adequately lit will not be a problem.
Any other comments or questions? Councillor Fleet.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Ron. A concern I have, the sidewalk coming up that west side is, number one would be Home Hardware. The traffic comes in and out of there. Will there be any type of stop sign put at their parking lot as traffic comes out of there? The other one is at the Canadian Tire and I guess a Stock Restaurant there. The traffic goes back and forth, and you've got that sidewalk. Is any type of stop sign put in to stop the traffic at Canadian Tire or coming out of that Giant Tiger parking lot? Because, you know, we're going to have pedestrians walking up and down that street. And the other question, I probably asked you this many times, is we need that sidewalk out to Walmart.
Well, we'll deal with this one first. One project at a time. The sidewalk there, what we're going to be doing at those two entrances there, we're going to be pulling the sidewalk straight through there. So it's going to be identified, the sidewalk, different color, different on it. I know that in some instances where we have a fair amount of traffic leaving, coming out of private property onto the street, some of the owners of those malls or there's those developments do put sidewalks or stop sign up there. But I think the big thing is continuing the sidewalk through it's quite evident in terms of what the break is and controlling it for pedestrians. So it's just, you know, that's the safety measure that we're taking.
Just if I can add to that, Councillor Fleet, it really, if you consider 10th Street, all of our businesses along 10th Street are very similar, right? You think of Grants, vehicles going in and out of Grants or McDonald's, right? So that safety measure, it really is up to that private owner to assist if they so choose to, with that safety measure.
Councillor Cable online?
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Ron, for the report. Just wondering, what kind of a detour are you anticipating for this project? I'm imagining that obviously that road section is going to be closed while the construction is underway, but with the intersection also being worked on, are you imagining a larger detour to go around?
In terms of actually at 10th Street and the county road there, that main intersection, it's traffic lights. There is some work that they need to do on that, but it's not a full complete dig throughout that intersection there. So I see that one being worked in stages and them having to control the traffic when they're going through there. And in terms of the other report, the other section of the street as you move north, there'll be attempts to keep the traffic moving as much as what we can, but it may be worked in sections for the most part. If they're working north of 12th Street, then we would just be able to divert traffic onto 12th Street. And then another section is where we're working from 12th Street, where it gets closer up to the corner. Each of the businesses along there is more than one entrance and exit coming out of them. So I feel there will be adequate way to make sure traffic movements and businesses are not totally affected and totally blocked off due to the number of entrances coming out of all the businesses.
Okay, thank you. And are those businesses, do they receive notice just like we do in our residential areas?
Could you repeat that question, please?
Do our businesses receive the same notification like we do in our residential areas when streets are being reconstructed?
Yeah, that's right. There'll be further notification once we get confirmed up exact timing on when the actual construction starts going to be.
Excellent, thank you.
Other questions or comments? I have a couple. First of all, it's my understanding the county is going to do their best to ensure that one lane is open at all times at that intersection. So that's the last I heard from Pat Hoy, Director of Transportation. My other question, or my first question, Ron, is what triggers the need for increased resources for sidewalk maintenance, like snow? Is it equipment or is it people? As we continue to get more sidewalks in town, I'd noticed Cedar Heights East has installed one of their sidewalks going into the subdivision. Now we're putting another one in. Where are we at with resources for this?
I would say that right now we have two sidewalks machines, which we typically send out during the winter. As things move further along, we may have to implement a third one, and that would necessitate having a additional operator during such times as the winter brought in. But so far we've been able to carry on with the current two machines that we have.
Very good, thank you. Councillor Cable.
I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right, I will call the question. All in favor of PW 1025? That is carried. Item 8.5 is report DCS 0625. The subject is municipal surplus asset declaration and disposal recommendation. It's from Chris Walker, our Director of Corporate Services and Treasurer, and I need a mover and seconder to put this on the floor. Councillor Sacco and Councillor Hawking. Chris?
Thank you, Your Worship. As council is aware, periodically, the corporation accumulates assets that are obsolete, damaged, or otherwise surplus to a department's needs. And as these are publicly owned assets, they should be declared surplus by council and disposed of in a transparent manner. This is our policy current in place. The police, however, have their own separate IT policy, and anything that's IT related, computers, tablets, anything like that has to be destroyed. That's part of their policy. So none of their phones would be in this area as well. And we tried to wait until we had more surplus items, but this was sitting and sitting. So it was like, we have to bring something forward to dispose of these. So currently we have about 22 various cell phones that range from iPhone XRSs to iPhone 12s. They're in fair to easy to use type mode, but they're very old, 2018 to 2020 models. And if you know anything about iPhones, basically they only support them for 6 or 7 years, so they're pretty well getting obsolete at this point. But for those that maybe wish to have a phone for a year or 2.5, instead of spending $600 or $700, they could buy one of these older ones. Everything has been wiped clean, there isn't anything on them. So what we're suggesting is that we implement an internal sales process, because there are some members that wanted to keep their old ones and wanted to buy them, but we have to declare them surplus, et cetera. And like I said, they're not very good to be putting out to the public because they are very obsolete items. As I've noted in there, iPhone 10s and lower will be done at the end of this year for support. Basically, you can't update your machines anymore and get support. So you are now open to the World Wide Web, and hacking becomes a big issue at that point. And then we have iPhone 11s that'll be at the end of 26, and the phones of iPhone 12s at the end of 2027. So that's why we're suggesting we could do them internally, so they have a couple years worth. So the estimated value is about $2,000 to $2,900, depending on what we get for each of them. We assumed around 50 to 100, 150, depending what they are. So this link to strategic plan is open and responsible government. And our recommendation is that this report, DCS 0625, Municipal Surplus Asset Declaration and Disposal Recommendations, be received, and that council declare the assets identified in this report as surplus to the requirements of the municipality, and that the surplus assets be disposed of in the manner recommended. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Open for discussion. What happens? Do you have 22 people right now, staff that are, like, what happens if you have a few left over? What are you going to do with them?
According to our disposal method, we would just dispose of them, just like the police would as well.
Sounds good. Okay, all in favor of DCS 0625? That is carried. Item 8.6 is report CL 03-2025. It is the Saugeen Municipal Airport Memorandum of Understanding Investment Readiness Review. These are getting longer, these subjects. And it's from Vicki McDonald, our clerk. I need a mover and seconder to put this on the floor. Councillor Hawking and Councillor Fleet. All yours, Vicki.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Saugeen Municipal Airport Commission undertook the development of a strategic business plan in 2021 with the goal of the airport achieving its full growth potential. Through consultation with key stakeholders, including pilots and the 3-member municipalities, visioning sessions were held in 2023, led by Grey County Economic Development staff and Think Compass. On December 2nd, 2024, Council received a delegation from Steve Furness, Grey County Economic Development, and Luigi Presta of Think Compass, summarizing their work with the Commission in assessing the airport's development potential and investment readiness. The process has now reached the stage where the Commission is seeking member municipality support for an internal review of the Saugeen Municipal Airport's investment readiness. This process will include an evaluation of economic viability and market interests. Oops. Sorry, my notes disappeared on me. The memorandum of understanding was attached to the report, And it is to confirm the member municipalities' support of the investment readiness internal review. The aim of the commission is to identify growth potential in order to attain self-sustainability, with this internal review being an essential component of that progression. A copy of the business plan, as well as the presentations, were included with the report as well. There are no financial implications associated with the report at this time. And the link to the strategic plan is Goal 3, Strong and Vibrant Economy and Balanced Growth. The recommendation is that report CL03-2025 be received, and the council authorize the CAO to enter into the memorandum of understanding with the municipality of Brockton and the municipality of West Gray for the investment readiness internal review of the Saugeen Municipal Airport.
Thanks, Vicky. Questions, comments? Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm just wondering if the consideration of the municipality's allotted budget percentages needs to be looked at before this investment readiness review.
So I would say that they're two separate initiatives accordingly. And the commission wishes to move forward with some of their work on the investment readiness work, and hence are looking for commitments from council accordingly based on the MOU. So I see them as two separate. I would think that the agreement and our percentage contribution is separate from whether this is developed or not at this point in time.
Councillor Hocking.
Thank you, Worship. I'd like to add to Sherry's comments. We haven't even begun the funding agreement. We've got a letter of intent, but you're looking probably a year. These guys are out there right now. And to give a summary of the intent of this, it came from the two consultants. The idea is, if they're out there stirring the sort of the marketplace, the last thing they need is for some negative comment on the airport, because all these investment, especially investment infrastructure Ontario, read that stuff. We would be, excuse me, dead in the water. Potential investors will not consider any site that has floating negativity around it. And this is the purpose of this memorandum of understanding. Please support us as we move forward to work on industrial commercial development within our economic development plan. The whole funding issue is another separate thing, as Sherry mentioned, and it'll take time to even get that organized to the point of discussion. So I would say we need to move forward with this because as you know from our discussions with Grey County, you have to be site ready, you have to be ready to move. They come to us, we can't say, oh, excuse me, we still have this outstanding issue. We don't need that. We need to be positive, upfront, and ready to act.
Any other comments? My one question, Vicky, is each clerk presenting this to their council?
Through you, Your Worship, yes, it was distributed to each clerk of each of the member municipalities to bring to their council.
Very good, thank you. And nothing online, so I will call the question. All in favor of CL 03-2025? That is carried, thank you. Item 8.7 is report CAO 1225. It is the Citizen Request Portal Activity Report Notice of Motion from Sherry Walden, our CAO, and I need a mover and seconder to put this on the floor. Deputy Mayor Dickert and Councillor Hudson. Sherry?
Thank you, Your Worship. So as you recall, at our March 17th meeting, Council received a report just in regards to our customer service portal update and our move from a former software application-based format to a staff-developed internal process. At the April 7th, 2025 meeting, Deputy Mayor Dickert brought forth the notice of motion, which is detailed in the background section of the report. But the key part of that was that Council of the Town of Hanover directs staff to provide a report with respect to the creation and implementation of a citizen request and suggestion report for council's consideration. Sorry, something just did something to my screen there. We have considered the notice of motion, content and intent, and share the following for council's consideration. The majority of the entries through the citizen portal are operational related, and as you're aware, operational matters are outside of council's governance role accordingly. Maintaining confidentiality, as was mentioned during the March 17th report, is extremely important with respect to the personal information and the content that's submitted, both through MFIPA and to ensure that individuals can be assured that they can't be identified because of the content of the information that's submitted accordingly. While I was preparing for this report, polled the 9 Grey County member municipalities to see if they provided such information reports to their council. 6 replied of the 9, with only 1 providing an annual report, and the other 5 did not provide reports to council. Further, that question was asked of those 9 municipalities of if fire and bylaw or other related reports were shared with council with respect to operational matters. With respect to bylaw, 2 provided an annual report, 3 provided a quarterly report, and 1 provided no report. Fire, 5 provided an annual report, 1 provided a monthly report, and 2 provided a quarterly report. And there were a couple other instances of reports provided to council, including an annual Freedom of Information report and 1 report of concern report. The potential report content is shared in the document. It really would be a summary of the areas that are noted and include the number. So for example, the information would have the 6 topic areas or summary areas: administration, building and planning, bylaw, economic development, parks, recreation and culture, and public works. So for example, if we had 10 administration inquiries, you'd see administration and 10. Those would be the details that would potentially be included in the report. Both to ensure that, to ensure that that confidentiality is imperative and that only the summarized information is provided accordingly. The notice of motion referenced the council's need and desire to be aware of our residents' concerns and compliments, but the report will provide very little content that gives you meat to those potatoes, so to speak, about what those that information is from a decision-making purpose. The options provided for council direction are option A, that no report be provided, that the majority of the entries pertain to operational matters and therefore the minimal information to be gained from the proposed report content that may be helpful to inform council decision, and thus the direction is that staff time not be allocated to developing and preparing such a report. Option B is that it be an annual report, and this would be an annual report that would be a consolidation of all of our quarterly statistical reports into one annual report. So that would include bylaw, fire, and would it be the addition of the citizen request and suggestion portal activity. Consolidation of this report is considered from an efficiency and effectiveness standpoint. It would be efficiency in our process, and it would be effectiveness with respect to staff time. Instead of preparing 4 different reports, we're preparing 1. Should this be council's direction, then the quarterly bylaw and fire reports would be ceasing immediately. Following tonight, obviously, and it is anticipated the annual statistical report would be provided no later than February of each year. So for example, the 2025 report would be provided no later than February 2026. There are no financial implications. The link to the strategic plan is open and responsible government, and the recommendation before you is that report CAO-12-25 Citizen Request Portal Activity Report notice of motion be received, and that council provide their direction with respect to the provision of a report that includes statistical information. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Sherry. Open for discussion. Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm wondering, Sherry, if you can tell me approximately how many entries you would have from the portal in 6-month period? Are we talking 50, 500?
Sorry, I forgot to turn my microphone off. I can't see the red with my laptop anymore. Sorry, I forgot to do that. We've had 64 since April 1st.
So I don't think the request had anything to do with providing any personal information at all. So I think that could be off the table as part of this. And it's not the purpose for us making decisions about the responses. So we now have the fire quarterly, correct? Which I think is very helpful. So I'm wondering if we could keep that the same and utilize the citizen portal request as a biannual.
Again, oops, sorry. So the options provided for you are the options that staff have provided. Should council have a different feeling, then we would like to hear those. Again, the annual report just provides it all to be, all those statistical reports are the same and considered the same. So they would be annual statistical items. And again, it's from an efficiency and effectiveness standpoint, then they're the same for all reports accordingly. And with respect to the information, again, we were using the notice of motion content with the intent of what that content was for notice of motion, and it referenced council decision-making and that information would be helpful for decision-making as such.
Thank you. Any other, Deputy Mayor Dickert?
Thank you, Worship, and thank you, Sherry, for the work on this so far. I still feel it's good information for us. I think we go to when we're doing our strat plan, we ask the residents to supply information and let us know what they're thinking. If we're seeing this report I'm kind of indifferent whether it has to be quarterly or semi-annually, but I think the fire and the bylaw could be combined. I'm supportive of that. I understand about not having the operational issues listed that can be identified, but it is those operational issues that sometimes justify budget requests that we see at budget time. We've got a lot of residents with concerns about anything in particular, and department heads will say, well, we need to do this to meet the needs. So I think it is good information. I would like to see it. I guess my thought are biannual. Every 6 months, just to keep us informed. It gives us that snapshot in time that just if we do it in the opposite seasons, you're going to see the winter concerns versus the summer concerns and things of that nature. And to roll the fire and bylaw into it and just do the one report, I certainly am okay with that as well. But I do see value in it. And have you got any estimate of staff time that it would take to create this report and put it together?
I'm thinking 30 minutes approximately for the person coordinating it. For the others, 10, 15 minutes approximately, depending on their tracking mechanism for their statistical data. A report, yes,
So one report takes 30 minutes.
approximately.
Okay. So my only concern is right now, when I speak to people about contacting bylaw, the first question is, I don't want them to know it was me. And it's not because of personal information. It's neighborhood specific. It's very easy to figure out if someone says, well, it's on 14th Street or 13th Street, whether it's a barking dog or a fire or you name it. So my concern is if people realize that we are reporting on what they are submitting to the town, they may not. That's all I have for concern. Councillor Hawking.
Thank you, Your Worship. There was a part of the report that I want to strongly support. And I wasn't here for the discussion or the motion, but I think Sherry pointed out our role. Our role as, if I can find it, well, I don't need it. was basically, we are here to govern, we're not here to get into the operational issues. And I too worry about confidentiality and I personally don't see the purpose of it, but if there's a need for some people to know, I just can't see the purpose of it personally. So I would be voting against it, the motion.
Okay. Other Councillor Cable, then Councillor Sacco.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Sherry, for following up on this notice of motion. I think similar to the Deputy Mayor, I'm certainly in favor of moving to that biannual reporting for fire and for bylaw. And I'd be interested to see if we were to move ahead with one of these reports on the citizen request portal, just to see what might that report look like. And I'm wondering if there's any trends that could be identified. I think that to me is what I'm hoping that we might see, right? Is there a trend in the items that are being brought forward that we can then help to address?
Tell me. So again, the content of that report, sorry, I'm working between my laptop and my sheets here. The content of that citizen request statistical information, for example, let's say we had 64 in April. Admin had 10, building and planning had 10, bylaw had 10, economic development had 15, parks, rec, and culture had 10, and public works had 10. That's the information you would see if we were bringing forth a monthly report. So you would just see the departmental area and the number. I would say that it's up to our staff who are then dealing with the requests and the request portables, or sorry, the request information, to be determining departmentally if there's trends that they need to be making some changes or bringing forth for budget consideration, et cetera. But the information that you will see will be basically the departmental area and the number of entries for that, if it's a semi-annual, for that semi-annual period.
Anything further, Councillor Cable? Councillor Sacco.
Thank you, Your Worship. Back to your concern about anonymity. When you do the portal, you must put in your email address. So there's no way around that the way it's set up currently. And when you send a message in, you get an automatic response saying that it's been received by the town. And then you're hoping for a feedback in the next day to 2 weeks, I believe was the maximum you had told me originally. So I think that's a good setup. I don't know if you can do it without putting in an email. So, and we're not going to publish these people's names and their concerns with the dog barking or the lawn problems or whatever. So I'm not sure what the issue is there with being anonymous.
I'm not sure. I don't think it's the anonymous issue with the entry. The entries are anonymous. We as staff see those entries and we see the email addresses because we may have to reach out to them by phone or by email. Right. The anonymity is the fact that if we were to provide more detail in the report and specifics around the complaint, as Mayor Sue noted, someone might go, oh, that sounds like my neighborhood and we're having that issue. And therefore that must be, just that type of information. That's where the anonymity comes from.
Vicky, our clerk, has a comment.
If I could just speak to the restrictions under FIPA and our requirement to protect any information of a person that in some way could be identified. So whether that's a location within the community, something they participate in, if there's any way that a member of the public could identify another individual, we're required to keep that information confidential.
Councillor Hawking, then Councillor Fleet.
Thank you, Worship. Just to follow up on Councillor Cable's comment. So if we had 64 and when you went through the analysis, 64 were with the rec department. Wouldn't you then, as a staff person or overseeing that, say to Laura, hey, we got 64 complaints here or suggestions, you'd look into it. I don't know what our role would be if we got a report saying 60, like, I can't follow the reasoning of having, unless we got it and you said, yeah, 64, and then we would say, oops, there's something going on here. But I really honestly can't see the value of getting numbers of 10, 20, 15. It tells us nothing. And it's really the responsibility of our staff to look into these. And if their staff aren't doing it, it's the CAO's responsibility to make sure that that happens. So I think it's a little bit of, excuse the overkill, and maybe getting our nose into something we shouldn't be getting our nose into. Just my comments. Thanks.
Councillor Fleet.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I agree with Councillor Hudson. You know, I don't want to lose these, you know, our reports, fire and bylaw. I think it's very important that we see those, and I don't know what the difference would be between this portable document they're going to give us compared to the fire. Like, we just look at false fire calls 7, medical 10. It doesn't give any names, and neither does bylaws. So, you know, I'm okay with the biannual, and you know, it's just numbers. It's no different fire and bylaw as the numbers would be that we're going to get from this report. So I'm okay with the biannual.
Okay, Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think Councillor Cable had something when he was talking about trends, because that is sort of what the purpose of the fire report is. They say false alarms, they say all sorts of medical, they have different categories so that we know what trends are out there, that they are getting more medical calls than other actual fire calls. So I think that's kind of where we're going with this. Are we getting a lot of requests for people looking after the garbage in their backyard, or, you know, fences up where there shouldn't be, those sort of things, so that when you're out and about in the public and people are asking you questions, then at least you have some sort of a background. Well, you know, we are, you know, that has ramped up a little bit. Those are the kind of trends that I think we're looking for reports, so that we're a little more knowledgeable about what's coming into you. We don't need to know details, but to have just, you know, a number 5 for administration, that's not enough. It needs to be some sort of information, but we don't need a whole lot of specifics, just categories.
Again, the categories you will get are the categories that are in the report because of the FIPA piece and the identifiable potential.
But I don't know how it's identifiable to anybody specifically if it's a excess of garbage in the backyard. That could be anywhere in all of our community. So I don't think that someone is going to specifically say, oh, that happened on, I don't know, 12th Street. Yeah, I'm just not sure what the main concern of that confidentiality part is.
Again, anything or information that we provide that could identify a location could be perceived or could be considered identifiable individual or location. So again, the information that we provided and the examples for administration are listed there. It could be any of those things within there. It could be, you know, if it's Parks and Rec, it could be any of those items listed in there accordingly, that entry may be as such.
Councillor Hawking.
I hate to belabor this, but I'm going to ask Councillor Hudson how, so suppose you got a report that said, like you said, 8 garbage issues. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to, wouldn't you think Sherry, if she saw it a concern, she'd look after it? Or are you trying to say, I'm going to check on this and check by checking staff to make sure they're doing their job.
No, I'm not asking to,
So what is the purpose of
the
it?
purpose is if you're out in public and people are communicating with you, that they are, that they are noticing an actual trend out there when they're out walking. We have a lot of people out walking and they're seeing things. So at least you have some basis to commiserate and say, well, we have recognized that there is an issue and it is being dealt with by staff. So at least you have an answer at the time for these people, be it garbage or whatever else it may be.
Well, why couldn't you just get on the phone and call CAO and say, hey, listen, a couple people came up to me and said, we got a garbage issue. Give her a call and it could be resolved. I think it's a little bit of, checking up on staff to make sure they're doing their job properly, and I don't like it.
That is not the intent whatsoever. So do you get that same feeling about when you get reports from fire and bylaw? Do you get that same report that we are then checking up on what they've done with those?
Not at all, because I don't get complaints.
Okay, so not to mix this up too much, but say it was someone called in about garbage at somebody's house. So that would now go right to bylaw. But how is it reported? Does it come under the bylaw report or does it come under the new customer service portal report? Like, we're getting into the weeds here that has none of our concerns, right? Like, why does it matter? Because staff is going to manage this. If they can't manage it, they are to come back to this table and say, we need to do something. Here's our options. But now we're getting in what's going on in this neighborhood and this neighborhood. We're here to govern. We're not here to actually do the operations that staff should be doing and are doing. So now we're going to say, okay, here's this report. Was this really a bylaw one, or now is it customer service? Did somebody just call and wanted to know when their garbage was being picked up? Or is it garbage that's in their backyard? Because we're not doing that detail. We can't do that detail. So we're getting way beyond what this table should be doing. It's not our role. We're here to govern. Councillor Cable.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think that if all we're going to see is titles, that does make it tricky. I guess I was envisioning something where we might see that staff would bring forward and say, I don't know, we've had 15 complaints around the quality of our sidewalks, right? And we might be able to therefore say, when budget comes around, maybe that's an area that we need to be prioritizing. Or there's concerns around lack of availability of swim time at the pool. So when we're then looking at budget, it's like, okay, maybe we need to allocate more resources there so that funding can be provided accordingly. I think I was hoping we were going to be able to see trends like that, just seeing titles of administration and not even breaking it down. At least when I read the report, I was expecting that we would see water sewer billing would be one, licensing would be one. But if you're saying we're just seeing administration, building, bylaw, that's not going to provide a lot of detail.
So again, I would say that staff, as they're dealing with these, will be monitoring if there's trends that they need to bring forward from a budget perspective or other decision-making perspectives accordingly. And they could reference it at that time based on information shared through comments. It's no different than doing an evaluation with a program, right? We might identify things in those formats. Again, I think if we're going to get into more detail, then it's a more, more numbers. Or sorry, not more numbers, but if you're breaking it down further, then that 30-minute report becomes 45 minutes to an hour potentially. And again, we're going to have to be very careful that it's not identifiable information accordingly. But I think your staff are the ones who are dealing with the trends based on what they're seeing from the information that's being entered through the customer service portal.
Similar to my question to Ron Cooper, I would expect that if we have another winter like we just had, and we put more sidewalks in our subdivisions, he is going to come and say, we need more staff, we need more equipment, which is not our role, right? Our role is to say yes or no. Can we afford it? Can the taxpayers afford it? He will be the one that brings it to us. Any other comments, discussion? Councillor Hawking.
I just want to tell you, I had a real life garbage issue. This is the previous council, but what I did, I went to Brian Teixeira, and Brian Teixeira had it fixed within, you know, they had to give the guy notice, 7 days, and it was rectified. I mean, you have your competent staff here to look after these issues. We don't need to be getting into the nose of operation of our community. Thank you.
Okay, I think we've had a good discussion. So now this has been moved by Deputy Mayor Dickert, seconded by Councillor Hudson. Do you want to actually give direction with respect to the report, please?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, I would amend that recommendation, I guess, to say that it would be a biannual report combining the 3 reports that are mentioned there, and we'll just see where the vote takes it.
Councillor Hudson, you did second that. You're okay with that? Thank you. All right, I'll call the vote. All in favor of a biannual report with the 3 reports combined? Fire, bylaw, customer portal. Okay, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Those opposed? 1, 2, 3. That is carried. Thank you. Item 9 is correspondence requiring action. We do not have any. Item 10 is, this is reports and correspondence for information. 10.1 is report FI 0325. This is the first quarter activity report from our fire chief, Chief Deniger. Chief?
Thank you, Your Worship. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
As indicated, this is the first quarter activity report, January to March 2025. As noted in the first quarter, we responded to 50 calls in total. Number 1 was medical calls, and number 2 was other, and number 3 was false fire calls. The annual calls to date were the same because this is the first quarter of the year. As far as fire inspections, we completed 6. We issued 3 reports and 2 are continuing to be in progress. We completed 6 alarm for life inspections. Only 1 was compliant with a 16% compliance. For public education, we completed 2 activities with 9 participants in 2 hours. There are no financial implications, and the link to the strategic plan is open and responsible government. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Chief. Councillor Cable.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Chief, for the report. I'm just looking at the alarm for life inspections. We're saying that we visited 6 houses, only 1 was compliant. So is it now that it's a new year, are we picking a different area of town that we're looking at? What do we think the reason is why only 1 in 6?
Through you, Your Worship. Typically in the winter months, we're not out canvassing yet. We do that in the summer when the weather's better and we're not traipsing through snow through the homes. So these would be requests where the alarm may have signaled periodically, or they're concerned that it maybe isn't working. So most of these are going to originate from a resident that's concerned about something. So we're not out canvassing quite yet.
Okay, thank you. And are there any organizations that provide financial support for fire alarms? Like certainly, like you're saying that they had to be replaced every 10 years, and for homes that have any kind of a connected system, like these can be over $100 per unit. Like it could cost you $1,000 to replace the alarms in your house.
Through you, Your Worship, you're absolutely correct. We did get a sizable grant from Enbridge a couple of years ago, which was a significant help. And then actually the Legion gave us a donation this year of $1,000 that we put towards alarms as well. And we hand them out as needed.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for doing that.
Okay, I don't see any other hands, so thank you, Chief. Item 10.2 is report DCS 0725. The subject is the quarterly financial statement for January to March of this year. And it's from Chris Walker, our Director of Corporate Services and Treasurer. Chris?
Thank you, Your Worship. The Town of Hanover financial statements are provided on a regular basis as the information becomes available. There was a report regarding the October-December 2024 quarterly report earlier in the year. And I just wanted to let you know, by the end of the year, there was $101,741.14 in surplus, and that was divvied up based on our policy. So basically 50% of that went to the Investing in Hanover Fund, 30% went to the TCA Reserve Fund, 10% goes to our general reserves, and 10% went to one of our internal loans, and it's reducing the theater loan. So that's how the money is divvied up based on our policy. And the audit is underway for our financials. I'm hoping they'll be here sometime in June to present to council. So attached, you'll see the Town of Hanover balance sheet, which gives you a quick snapshot of what the corporation's position was at March 31st. And the accounts payable listings for January to March were also attached. Looks great when I show you the statement of operations that we have over $5 million there, but keep in mind that on the balance sheet, there's almost $4 million sitting as receivables. So we bill in early February for your taxes. It all shows up as revenue, but it's still sitting on the balance sheet that hasn't been collected yet. So don't get too anxious that we have lots of money. We don't. And that part of that money is also user fees, and that's $302,000 of that. And then we'll also have to pay the second portion of the county and school boards, and that's close to $1.4 million. And that will be due in June, and that'll be part of all that $5 million that we're showing that's in there. And we've also then attached to a Town of Hanover taxes receivable graph as of March 31st. You'll always see the month that it's due. People tend to forget the due date on the 28th. So February is really high, and then March, they start paying it down again. You'll see that again in May when people forget again, and then June, it'll go down as well. And this is just a quarterly review of our accounts information. And the link to strategic plan is just open and responsible government. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thanks, Chris. Any Councillor Cable?
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you for Chris for the report. I meant to email you earlier, so if you're not sure, we can connect afterwards too. I was looking at a few of the numbers on the accounts payable chart, and I'm just wondering at the bottom, this is it says page 180 at the bottom. It's page 76 in our package. So at the very bottom, we have a 2003 cat loader where it's got $22,000 accounts payable. We have a 2018 sidewalk machine, $15,000. And then on the top of the other page, we have a 2007 sidewalk machine with $14,000. Is this the cost for repairs of this machinery? What would be falling under accounts payable for this equipment?
This will be all their time and benefits and salaries and everything associated with using that equipment, as well as fuel, as well as everything else.
Okay, fantastic.
Because it's divvied up by department for each area, how it's used.
Perfect. Okay, I was just making sure that we weren't putting $23,000 worth of taxpayer dollars into things like a 2003 cat loader. And I believe also, Ron, while you're here, is that cat loader, is that a piece of equipment that's being replaced?
That is correct, yes.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Okay, thanks, Chris. 10.3 is report PW 1125. The subject is the 2024-2025 Drinking Water System Inspection Report. It's from Ron Cooper, our Director of Public Works. Ron.
Thank you, Worship. This report and attached to it, it is the drinking water inspection report that was performed by the Minister of Environment, Conservation and Parks. And on February 15th, Matthew Shannon, that's the inspector for the area, conducted an announced inspection of our drinking water system. The previous inspection was completed in December 21st of 2023. The content of this inspection is to confirm compliance with MEC legislation, as well as evaluating performance with the ministry drinking water policies and guidelines during the construction period. The inspection report, as you can see, it provides a series of questions related to drinking water systems and applicable legislative requirements and observations that the inspector has completed as they relate to the Hanover drinking water system. The report notices in terms of compliance, there was one non-compliance, and it was related to treatment equipment where the flow through a single filter exceeded the design capacity. And actually during this inspection period, there were 5 instances where the flow exceeded the design capacity. We had filled out necessary reporting to the MECP and local health unit, because those are considered as an adverse water quality incident. What I can tell you is this is related to the supply coming in from Rural Lake. We have 2 filters, and the flow comes through to both filters at once. What actually occurred is we had one filter malfunction. The current SCADA system that we have directs all the flow to the other filter. And since we're having increased demand coming through the filters, we're operating at more than 50% capacity of the 2 filters. Once one filter shuts down, it automatically triggers that we're exceeding the flow on one filter, what it was designed to handle. What I can tell you is the plant did not shut down, is that along with infiltration, the flow is further chlorinated. We also have continuous monitoring for turbidity, meeting effluent requirements. So in no way there was flow entered into the system that was ever a concern, although when you boil it down to design capacity, yes, it did exceed what that requirements were, and that's what they're indicating on the report. Is the incident as noted was a non-compliance, as a treatment equipment did not achieve the design capacities required under Ontario Regulation 17003 and our drinking water license for the system. With the implementation of a new SCADA system that we're currently in the process of, it's going to be programmed so that if there was a filter, either number 1 or 2 offline, then it's going to actually shut down the flow coming in from Rural Lake. So it's it had not been a problem, but with increased demand in our water system, we're getting up exceeding the 50% flow compliance. And when you have 2 filters, when one goes down, it exceeds the requirements of one filter in terms of the flow. The report, it includes an inspection summary report rating system, which is attached. And the rating provides a quantitative measure of the inspection results for this specific drinking water system reporting year. The primary goals of the assessment are to encourage ongoing improvement of the drinking water system and to measure progress from year to year. Our final rating on this is 96.37%, which is quite high. And out of all the different areas that they're reporting on, there was one, and that was related to the compliance. So non-compliance of the flow, we exceeded what one filter could handle coming out of Rural Lake under those circumstances. There are no financial implications with this report, and our link to strategic plan is safe and reliable infrastructure, healthy and welcoming community, and open and responsible government. And this report being received for information, but series of questions, we were able to answer them. We scored quite well, but there was this one circumstances where we did exceed the design capacity for one filter, and that's why we didn't score 100, which we previously have done, but not always the case. Thank you. If there would be any questions, I'll try to address them. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron. Are there comments or questions, discussion? You explained it very well. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to the next one. 10.4 is PW 1225. This is the water treatment plant operations report. And again, from Ron Cooper, our Director of Public Works. Ron?
Thank you, Worship. The next two reports there are operations report, and I have Ted Knapp, our chief operator, on the line here. So I will let him lead you through the next two reports.
Welcome, Ted.
Thanks. First report here is the first quarterly report for the water treatment plant from January 1st to March 31st, 2025. Some highlights of major activities include January 14th, we took the taste and odor system offline for the winter due to cooler temperatures and Rural Lake stabilizing and basically no taste and odor issues. We completed a chemical clean of filter 3 media to improve performance. We did that also to hopefully get the media to last a few more years. We got a lot of iron and manganese out of the media, and we've done it once more since then. On February 19th and March 3rd, there was an adverse water quality incident, as Ron was just speaking about, with one filter faulting and all the flow going through the other filter. When this does happen, the operator gets called in and within 20 minutes shuts down those filters, dumps the clear well to ensure there's no water going out to the system, and calls in the AWQI to the Spills Action Center and Medical Officer of Health, and they have never had any further actions that they require due to our turbidity, UV dose, and chlorine residual all meeting the requirements. We continue to work with Sumer Engineering for testing of the new SCADA system, which is very time consuming, but we got to make sure it's done right. And then we completed lead testing for the spring lead testing of 20 residential properties in the distribution systems with no presence of lead. I'd be happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
Thank you, Ted. Are there any questions or comments? Councillor Sackle.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thanks, Ted. Good to see you. So Ted, I'm always amazed at how busy your department is when it comes to the day-to-day water treatment plant operations. I saw that you had 7 notes in January, 12 notes in February, 11 notes in March. Would you say that this report is typical, or do you think you're dealing with more incidents lately? I'm just curious, Ted.
To be quite honest, I feel like the incidents or call-ins have gone down over the last 4 years, but we do keep very, very busy. As long as we keep good maintenance, there always will be call-ins, but we try to reduce them as best we can.
Thanks, Ted, and good luck with learning that SCADA system.
Okay, any Councillor Cable?
Thank you, Worship. Thank you, Ted, for the update. I'm just wondering, when do you expect the new SCADA system to be up and running?
So I don't have a full date for when it's exactly going to be completed, but July 4th is supposed to be when we're done validation. So once they're done validating it, basically we know the programming is right on it, and they change over all the PLCs and the hardware, I guess. So I'm not sure how long that takes. It should only take maybe a month, but again, we got to make sure that this is perfect before it goes in.
Excellent, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, we'll move on. 10.5 is report PW 1325. This is the wastewater treatment plant operations report, again from Ron Cooper, our Director of Public Works. Ron?
Yeah, this report operations, Ted is online here and he will take us through this one.
Yep. So this is the first quarterly report for the wastewater treatment plant from January 1st to March 31st, 2025. Some highlights and of major activities during this period include we were still doing stress testing on the west plant, but we did experience a lot of foaming in the aeration and in the inlet, which increased the ammonia level. Basically, due to that, we diverted flow evenly between the east and the west plant to help meet requirements for our effluent, as well as the ORO, the overall responsible operator, which is myself, was talking to some operational engineers to give us ideas of what we could do. We continue to meet the weekly effluent sampling requirements. It was just we had to do a lot of extra lab work to monitor the ammonia levels. There's continued maintenance on plant equipment and calibration of flow meters, as well as lab analyzers. And then we had a pre-construction meeting with Wellington construction contractors, with scheduling with the small plant upgrades here that will hopefully happen end of summer, early October. Or end of summer, early fall. I'd be happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
Thanks, Ted. Any comments, questions? Councillor Cable.
Thank you, Worship, and thank you, Ted, for the report. Just looking at the flows for January, February, and March. So it looks like the average flow for March was about 1,000 cubic meters per day above the optimal design capacity. Just wondering, is that all due to snow melting? What do we think the reason is for that? And what's the impact of that kind of flow for your operation?
So yeah, the highly average is definitely due to the massive snow melt that we had this spring. And it doesn't help operations. It does dilute the incoming flow, so it makes it not as strong of waste. But it also there's risk of plant washouts, which is your solids potentially washing out, as well as not as much retention time for settling and aeration treatment, like biological treatment. So it does cause operational issues. It just we just gotta monitor and watch things a lot closer. Divert flows to certain tanks to maintain levels and stuff like that.
So thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none. Ron, I just want to say, I don't know if you have any reports being presented on May 20th. Do you think this is the last reports you are presenting? And it would be interesting to see how many reports you've presented over 29 plus years. Do you think you have another report coming up, Ron, or not?
I got through quite a few of them this time around, so I'm hoping maybe I can. This might be the final unless there is some more come up, so.
Well,
That is an interesting trivia question, though, in terms of the number of reports. And I most certainly haven't gone through those answers.
very good. Thanks, Ron. Okay, 10.6 is report CL 0525. The subject is the strong mayor powers, and it's from Vicki McDonald, our clerk. Vicki?
Thank you, Your Worship. The enactment of the Strong Mayor Building Homes Act in 2022 began the progression by the province of assigning greater administrative and governance authority to the heads of council. The asserted reason for granting this expanded authority was to facilitate delivering on provincial priorities such as building more homes at a faster rate, infrastructure, and transit. These additional powers continue to be conveyed to municipalities, with another 169 municipalities being given strong mayor powers as of May 1st. This includes the town of Hanover. While previous municipalities received the powers subject to certain housing targets being met, there are no corresponding benchmarks with the most recent expansion. A general overview of the powers and duties ascribed to the heads of council and other relevant information is contained in the chart which was provided in the report. These areas of power that have been amended include governance. And I'm just going to highlight the areas, and then if there is the ability for the head of council or mayor to delegate the powers. So under council governance, with respect to committees, appointing chairs and vice chairs, and assigning committee functions, These powers can be delegated to council. Currently, the only committee that we have is the Finance Committee that's comprised solely of members of council, and that's what these powers relate to. So that is an area where the authority can be delegated back to council. Under administration, the ability to hire, dismiss, and assign duties to the CAO as well as department heads is an area that can be delegated with respect to the CAO to the whole of council, with respect to department heads or senior management, as well as the organizational structure changes. Those can be delegated to the CAO or to the head of council. Our current policy and direction is that the responsibility for that be assigned to the CAO. Provincial priorities, these may not be delegated because they involve responsibility for advancing housing infrastructure transit. And those priorities are defined in Ontario Regulation 580-22. These involve the mayor being able to bring any item before council and requiring council to consider it if it relates to provincial priority, to propose certain bylaws enacted under the Municipal Act, Planning Act, or Section 2 of the Development Charges Act, as well as the mayor's ability to veto a bylaw if they're of the opinion that it would interfere with achieving a provincial priority. The caveat being that council also has a veto ability that by a 2/3 vote, they could also veto the mayor's decision. And there are a number of sequential steps and processes to be able to do that, which would have to be laid out within our procedure bylaw. Under budget, the mayor is required to propose a budget each year by February 1st. This power cannot be delegated. However, the mayor can direct staff to proceed with preparing the budget, as is our current practice, and staff's proposing that the mayor directs staff to prepare the budget as has been the ongoing practice. If the mayor does not prepare the budget, then and there is no direction to staff, then it falls back to council to prepare the budget by February 1st. And under the other, these are very general, just that the main one being legislative changes with respect to filling a vacancy for the head of council. Previously, there were other options other than by-election to fill that vacancy. That's no longer the case. If the head of council now becomes vacant, there must be a by-election called to fill the vacancy. The time frame between the announcement on April 9th by the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing that the town would be one of the 169 municipalities designated to receive strong mayor powers as of May 1st, provided us with limited opportunity to fully understand the implications and prepare for the implementation of these expanded powers. There was no previous notice that municipalities were going to be receiving these powers. It was sprung upon us with a very limited comment period as well. There was just a little over a week to provide comments to the ministry. As well, municipalities cannot opt out of these strong mayor powers. We don't have that ability. Even if we send a letter to the ministry, all we can do is request that they reconsider extending these powers. So there are members of council and senior staff that were available attended an educational session with other Grey County municipalities. And there was a broad overview provided by a municipal lawyer on the strong mayor powers, which was relatively informative. With our existing municipal policies, procedures, and bylaws, there will be amendments required to facilitate the governance and administrative changes. Currently, we're undergoing a review of the procedure bylaw, which some of the legislation could be incorporated into. It is anticipated that further educational sessions will be held to assist council and staff in understanding the legislation, hoping those are going to be put on by the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. With the delegation of authority powers that municipalities have, Hanover does have a delegation of authority policy. It's been in place since 2007. The purpose of this policy is to define the scope of powers and duties council may delegate and to establish principles governing such delegation. As further information becomes available with respect to the strong mayor powers, staff will be undertaking a further review and update of this policy, and any amendments will be provided to council for their review and approval. It is anticipated that, again, once more information becomes available, a further report will be provided to council on the implementation impact of the strong mayor powers. So at this time, there are no financial implications with respect to this report. Strategic goal is open and responsible government, and I will try to answer any questions that council may have. Thank you.
Thanks, Vicky. And just before I open the floor for discussion, I know council and staff are aware of what my opinion of this is, but the listening public may not be. So I'm just going to state, I believe in the process which supports democracy. All of council may not agree on every issue, but we work best when all voices are heard equally. Council as a whole works in the best interests of the public and the community we serve. Open for discussion, if there is any, unless like we are expecting more information to come to us. So, but any comments? As Vicky said, it did happen pretty quick. So Councillor Sacco.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just the timing is so interesting and tricky, Vicky, because we're just trying to absorb all this new information, as are you, of course. And 2026 is an election year, so everything's going to change. I just find the timing interesting.
Very good. We'll wait for more information to come. Chris, you want to comment?
If we could go back to the report, I wanted to reiterate, I gave some misinformation to Councillor Cable. Each department has the wages and benefits in it. However, the ones that are separated out for the actual vehicles does not. So I was incorrect in that. So I went back and I took a look, and there was some major work done on the McLean that maybe Ron can talk to. There was over $9,000 of repair work done on there. So anything that's a vehicle, the only thing that's in those accounts are fuel, maintenance, insurance, and if it happens to be one of our leased policy vehicles, then that will be in there as well, but not the wages and benefits. Wages and benefits are in every other department that is an actual department, but each vehicle was separated out by its own department so that we could keep track of the fuel and operations for that. So I apologize for giving misinformation on that.
Thank you. And I apologize for putting you on the spot with that question, Chris. Usually I would have sent it in advance, so I do appreciate you following up.
Did you want to comment on that, Ron? What was that repair Chris was talking about?
On the one on the McLean sidewalk machine is, we ended up having to put a new clutch in it, so it's got a number of hours on it, but it's a 2018 machine, not due for replacement, but it was a repair that went on it, but heavy winter and lots of snow blowing, and we're pushing the machines extra hard, and those are the consequences at times.
Yes, Councillor Cable.
And is it fair to say, Ron, that I think it was $22,000 that was listed in the cat loader. So is there a lot of repairs that are being done to that piece of machinery, and that's why we're looking to offload it and move forward?
That is correct, and we're doing repairs that needed to be done to it to keep it operational for the time being, but we're in the works of getting that one repaired, or well, getting that one replaced, sorry.
When do you
Correct
expect it to be-
terminology, replaced, and that's hoping coming up very soon.
Okay, thanks for that, Chris. Okay, 10.7 is the Saugeen Municipal Airport Commission meeting minutes. Councillor Hawking.
Thanks, Tanya. We met on Wednesday, April the 16th, and I'm just going to make some highlights. Business arising from the minutes. You heard me mention Steve and Luigi. We talked about that. This is kind of a neat thing about the airport manager's report, where we had a number of pilots during the winter time took it upon themselves to bring their own personal equipment. We had one pilot who brought his grader over to help plowing. They worked for 7 to 8 hours. I think everyone can appreciate with the amount of snow that we received. A good news, we've tried for a number of years to get a sign on County Road advertising the airport and the landing gear, and we now have been successful. We're putting new flags, and thanks to the town of Hanover for donating a flag. They do get worn. The COPA there is self-explanatory. I'd like to get into the sort of the new business. This is something we've been striving for a number of years, and we finally have come up with, we hope is a good event for the airport. We're hoping to attract between 1,000 and 1,500 people on July the 27th. The airport has entered into a contract with the Ontario Musicians Cooperative called the OMC. This is a cooperative that receives federal funding, and they provide the musicians, they provide the sound equipment. We have to provide all the other amenities. And I'm pleased to say that the Durham or West Gray / Durham Lions Club are joining in a partnership with us, and we'll be looking after the beverage side of and the security of the event. We're very excited. This could be the beginning of something that's an annual event. It'll be on the tarmac. All we need is good weather, and we're meeting every second week planning this event. So mark it down on your books. July the 26th. We have Miss McEwen as the guest vocalist. She will be playing at this event too, which is neat to recognize local talent. And then we enter into a closed session. So I'll welcome any questions. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. I don't see any hands raised. So we'll move on to 10.8. This is the Grey County Council and Committee of the Whole highlights. Deputy Mayor Dickert.
Thank you, Your Worship. At that meeting, Georgian College attended and thanked the county for their ongoing support and collaboration. Council received a report that Grey County ended 2024 with a surplus of $4.4 million and directed staff to move those funds into various project reserves. Some factors contributing to that surplus included higher than expected tax revenue and from additional growth and additional funding from the province for long-term care services. Council approved moving a road reconstruction project ahead by a year to take advantage of improved pricing and a project that aligns with, they're doing one section of the road just 5 kilometers down the road, so it made sense to bring this one forward and do them both at the same time with the same contractor and realize those staging savings that they can appreciate. Council approved a request for $45,000 to assist the city of Owen Sound with a land purchase for an affordable housing project. And that project abuts the Owen Sound Municipal Nonprofit Housing site that currently exists. And this additional property should allow them to create 10 to 12 more one-bedroom units in their area there. Our Grey County CAO, Kim Wingrove, announced that Niall Lobley was the successful applicant for the CAO position. Mr. Lobley is currently serving as the CAO of Township of Georgian Bluffs, and his first day with Grey County will be May 20th. And Warden Matrosoff's recognized outgoing CAO, Kim Wingrove, for her 10 years of service to Grey County. Kim's last day of work was past Friday, May 2nd, and Mayor Patterson, our CAO Sherry, and myself were there to attend that farewell for her on that day. So, thank you.
Very good. Any questions, comments? Okay. 10.9 is an update from the Grey County Urban Road and Road Exchange Task Force. And I'm going to start this, and Sherry, if you want to add, you're more than welcome. So this has come about. The county is looking to find efficiencies both for the county and for the 9 municipalities. So some roads are being exchanged and some are just being transferred. And I do want, before I forget, I want to mention there's going to be a public meeting May 14th at the P&H Center in the Lions Den from 6 to 8 p.m. for anyone that's interested, may have more questions, wondering why and how it will affect them. So within the boundaries of Hanover, the county is looking to transfer County Road 4, which is our main street, and 28, which we call 24th Avenue, the complete bypass, and County Road 10, which you may know as 7th Avenue or the county line. Depends how old you are, right? So that's 10.44 kilometers to be transferred to Hanover with only one smaller sized bridge, not the 2 bridges that have a larger platform, a base, whatever it's called, but the one bridge on the bypass, which is almost like a culvert when you drive over it. That one would be transferred to us, but not the other 2 bridges. We asked that one for sure. So we're looking at a smaller size bridge, 10.44 kilometers of roads plus 12 sets of stoplights. We have more stoplights than most people. Along with this, Hanover, each municipality will have their own funding, but the county will be providing us with funding to mitigate the costs for 10 years. After 10 years, it will be our sole responsibility to maintain, upgrade, look after the lights. Now, this hasn't passed completely by council, but the county is going out to each municipality to have these public meetings for discussion and feedback. Sherry, anything to add?
The only thing that I would add is to our conversations today with the county staff is that while county is transferring the roads noted and intersections and stop traffic lights, et cetera, there is an opportunity to contract back to the county to complete the work. So if I can use the example of winter maintenance, our winter maintenance on our roads is considerably different than the winter maintenance required on the county roads noted because of the levels of service required due to their speed and the number of vehicles, et cetera. So there is an opportunity to contract back to them for things like winter maintenance. You can do spring and summer maintenance, traffic light maintenance, et cetera. So when it indicates in the report that staff be directed to negotiate new road agreements with the affected municipalities, those are some of the conversations that we will be having further with Grey County accordingly. But as Mayor Sue said, the funding right now, the funding model currently is that it would be for 10 years, and that is to offset added operational and potential capital investment in those areas. But after that 10 years, we would be totally financially responsible for those. Well, sorry, I'm going to step back. We would be totally financially responsible for those roads and intersections. After the 10 years, we would no longer be receiving any county financial support to offset those costs. I think that's all I would add, Mayor. So you did a good job of summarizing it accordingly.
Deputy Mayor, anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that's, between the two, of you, you've captured it all very well. Thanks.
So we have been involved in these meetings and discussions, and we've had, well, Sherry and Ron and Andrew, and we're involving everyone to make sure we can handle this. And there are some benefits, you know, with permits and what do you call them, access onto the road and off the road and stuff. And the county has been very open and very fair, because in my opinion, Hanover is unique, and we are, because we have a very small area with a lot of stoplights and a lot of county road. We've never owned a county road ever. And now we will if this gets passed. So that's just an update. And I would suggest you, if you have time, to attend that public meeting and ask the questions. We've asked lots, but maybe there's more to be asked, right? Okay, so moving on, 10.10. This is notice that the Committee of Adjustment will be holding a public meeting via Zoom on Thursday, May 15th at 4 p.m. And this is to consider a proposed minor variance application at 730 18th Street. The purpose of the application is to reduce the rear yard setback to accommodate an enclosed deck and to construct a new unenclosed deck. Also, 10.11 is notice of a proposed minor variance at the Committee of Adjustment meeting. It's a hearing that will be held via Zoom, same time, Thursday, May 15th at 4 p.m. This is to consider a minor variance application at 154 16th Avenue Crescent, and it is to increase the maximum gross building area permitted for an accessory structure by reducing the required right side yard and the rear corner yard setbacks. And also at that meeting will be, again, public meeting via Zoom, May 15th, 4 p.m. And this is to consider a consent application to sever and retain land for the purposes of creating 6 new lots to allow the construction of street townhouses at 260 7th Street. Okay. That's it for notice of public meetings. So item 11, planning and other meetings. Of course, they're all listed on this agenda and on our website. Dates to remember and announcements. The next committee of the whole meeting is Monday, June 2nd. Next regular council meeting is Tuesday, May 20th. And of course, the Grey County Urban Roads and Roads Exchange, that public meeting, May 14th at the P&H Center in the Lions Den at 6 p.m. And don't forget, Saturday is the grand official opening of our fire hall at 10 a.m. And it is open to anyone and everyone who would like to come and see the new fire hall. I hope to see a lot of people there. All right, I'll ask, are there any notices of motion? Seeing none, we do not have a closed meeting. One final motion, and that is to adjourn at 6:03. I need a mover and seconder, Councillor Sacco and Councillor Cable, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you.